Last time on Dragon Ball Z, young son Gohan got his first lesson in heartbreak when the lovely but fickle Angela broke off their brief puppy love affair and spilled the beans on the warrior's choice of underwear.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Prompting our hero to contemplate the reality that not all wars are fought on the battlefield. This is also when Gohan discovered that he was not the only individual with a love affair with Justice in Orange Star High School, after learning about his classmate Videl taking time away from her studies to stomp a mud hole in local thugs being a nearly daily occurrence. Try as he might, Gohan cannot sit idly by while the pigtail pugilist fought her battles alone, and after making up a story about his irritable bowel syndrome to the class, took off to join the young lady in her quest to purge the city of evil. But this is also when Videl made the would-be Power Ranger aware that she knew his true identity, and if he valued keeping it a secret, he would make sure to join the upcoming Tenkaichi Budokai as well as give her some flying lessons after school, to even the scales a bit. Outclassed by his classmates' wits, Gohan could do little else but agree to the demands before flying to Capsule Corp and donning some new headgear that would meet with the tournament's regulations. While getting his do-rag fit checked, Gohan and company received a message from on high out of the blue from none other than Son Goku himself that he would be returning to Earth for but a single day in order to reunite with his friends and test his might at the new tournament. And with the gauntlet now being laid, all that was left was to tell the others and to train. Is Gohan still the warrior that he used to be, or has all those intrusive thoughts about Videl's biker shorts weakened the hormone-fueled warrior and left the door open for a new world's strongest? Perhaps a question only time will tell. For now, Gohan's decided to utilize his brother Son Goten as his new training partner. After finishing their morning stretches and jog, Gohan informs little bro of the training plan for the day. Gohan has decided that he needed to work on shaking the cobwebs off his fighting instincts and reaction time. So in order to test his reflexes, Gohan powers up and asks his brother Goten to stand in front of him while hurling rocks as hard as he can, which he'll dodge in order to mimic how fast strikes will be coming at him in the heat of battle. After telling his little brother where to stand, Goten speaks up with some trepidation like, are you sure about this, biggest brother Gohan? Because I know you fast, but I kinda got a heater on me and this could end up real bad. Gohan laughs off his little brother's warning, reminding him that this is big brother Gohan he's talking to, and he's positive that the pint-sized powerhouse has absolutely nothing to worry about. Despite his caution, Goten heeds his big bro's words, reels back, and lets a rock fly. At the very last moment, Gohan registers the speed and power behind the deadly piece of shrapnel that Goten just threw at him and narrowly dodges before catching a permanent end to his rap career. Big Bro then looks behind him, wordlessly observing the massive pile of rubble where a cliffside used to be, then slowly returns his gaze back over to his brother, who could not be smiling any bigger. Genuinely impressed that his brother was able to dodge that bullet at that close a range and is prepared to pick up 50 more of them bad boys to assist Big Bro with target practice. Realizing now that training with Goten is less of a warm-up for the tournament and more of a genuine matter of life and death, Gohan gets on his Shaq timing with the quickness, apologizing for being unfamiliar with his brother's game and pushing that rock-throwing boundary back a solid 5 to 6 feet while he fixes his face and recollects if he remembers to pack a replacement pair of those teddy bear undies. Eventually, Gohan's pride recovers and he's able to run through the training as planned, until all of a sudden, Goten puts down that cannon he calls an arm for a second and lets out a, "Hey bro, since you're yellow, am I allowed to turn yellow too?" Gohan just stares at little buddy for a second and is like, "Hold up, turn yellow? You mean like go Super Saiyan? Yeah, that Super Slim Jim thing you're doing. Am I allowed to do it?" And y'all already know what type of time Gohan got on. Bro been waiting for this moment his whole life. With all the boomer energy he could muster, he lets out a low-key condescending laugh straight out of Vegeta's playbook and is like, "Sorry, young bull, but you ain't ready for all that, playboy. See, turning into a Super Saiyan requires months, maybe years of intense training. You gotta be motivated, determined, resilient, confident, mentally untouchable." And notice I didn't say physical because no, all credit to LTG for the legendary bars. And before Gohan could even finish the glaze, Goten was already emitting a familiar glow, coupled with the requisite spiky blonde hair that left biggest bro at a complete loss of words. As Gohan stands there in disbelief, mouth open and ready to hang up the jersey, realizing just how washed he is, the only thing he can muster is a weak, "But how though?" at his little brother's revelation. In the manga, Goten gives nothing more but a little "I don't know" before moving on with the convo. But something the animation team did that I really really appreciate was flesh out this moment more, giving the transformation just a bit more context. In that version of things, Goten first unlocked his transformation during a sparring match with Mom. They were out in the front yard and Chi-Chi was giving him what Patty gave the drum, just getting straight paws on this child and even taunting him.
Let that child alone.
Telling him to quit running away like a little hoe, just like his dad was during their Netflix and chill sessions, and square up and put the beaters on his mom like a real man. Unable to handle the mental and physical stress his mom was putting on him, in a fit of anger, Goten hops in the air and kicks the taste out of the lady's mouth, only to discover a moment later that he's now a Super Saiyan. The only thing funnier than this was Chi-Chi's reaction to the news, lamenting the birth of another monster in the house and mourning the fact that no piece of furniture or kitchen appliance she ever owns will be safe from the golden menaces laid up in the house. Gohan starts tearing up as he thinks of the mind-altering trauma he and his pops had to go through while his younger brother is still a kid and managed to reach that plateau through a quick bout of domestic violence with Mom. Doing his best to salvage a rough situation though, Gohan asks Goten to spar with him, and once again the new generation of Saiyan proves to be full of surprises, informing Big Bro that he's used to throwing hands with Mom and the homie Trunks, so he'd be happy to oblige, and starts giving Gohan more than a run for his money, forcing him to take to the air in order to avoid Goten's offensive onslaught. Goten's fighting prowess causes Gohan to damn near have a panic attack when he realizes that if he does not get his crap together pronto, he'll legitimately be left behind on the power scales by these kindergartners, especially if young Trunks is actually already stronger than Goten as he claims. And just for the cherry on top, Goten almost gives his brother his 13th reason when Gohan peeps the fact that Goten is unable to pursue him in the air. This little imp of a Saiyan managed to learn the Super Saiyan transformation before he learned the basics of ki control necessary to fly. It was almost enough to make Gohan go back on hiatus. But before he can commit to retirement, Gohan notices a vehicle in midair about to park at his crib. It's Videl, and she's come to make good on those flying lessons he promised her. Gohan has Goten promise not to turn yellow, going along with his and his mom's narrative that it'll make him look like a delinquent in front of company, rather than revealing that he just doesn't want his classmate of the fairer sex to know that she just stumbled upon the hive of the Golden Warriors. Videl's arrival to Gohan's crib and meeting Chi-Chi is a goated interaction in my book, probably because it hits too close to home. I never used to want to bring a girl home back in the day because I knew exactly how pressed my mom would get, and Chi-Chi is 1000% on that type of time. From moment one, Chi-Chi was on Videl's ass, playing her like she was some wandering salesperson before she came out and said she was there to meet Gohan. As y'all probably guessed, it was all bad after that. Gohan, you must have the wrong place, because I know you ain't here to see my son, Gohan. Yeah, Gohan, he said he'd teach me to fly. That's when the man of the hour pops back in himself, telling his mom to just go a tiny bit easier because he promised her he would give her lessons after she put him on to the tournament. But Chi-Chi was already on one, and no amount of logical arguments were about to stop the verbal manslaughter she was about to commit. Look, I know what Gohan promised you, but he ain't got no time to be laid up with no street thoughts while he out here trying to collect a bag for his family. And that's when Videl couldn't hold it in anymore herself, and she had to give the energy back, telling Chi-Chi that the only thought outside right now is the one with that stank-ass bun in her hair and them cheap earrings, and she needs to watch her tone. Just as Chi-Chi was about to hit Videl with that Kill Bill 5-point exploding heart palm technique, young Goten enters the chat and talks about his mom and dad got married at the tournament. So maybe that Gawk Gawk 3000 stuff he hears Uncle Krillin talking about 18 giving him must be happening at the tournament too. Goten's interjection sends Chi-Chi on a sordid trip down memory lane, allowing them time to escape so Gohan could work on making good on his promise. Gohan begins explaining the concept of ki to Videl and how flying is just a simple matter of harnessing one's inner energy to move around at will. Videl, hearing Gohan speak on all this nonsense mystical mumbo jumbo, asks him blatantly just what exactly the hell this ki stuff he keeps talking about even is. Goten then immediately proceeds with an example, yelling out like this, placing his arm forward and shooting a blast that leaves a pile of nearby rocks absolutely in shambles, just like Videl's brain after witnessing that last demonstration. Gohan nods in approval and is like, yeah, like that. That right there is ki. Videl, still mind blown, gets on her Hercule timing and immediately dismisses as magic, a trick, or both, because no human being she knows are out here shooting artillery shells out of the palm of their hands. Training is broken up by a brief intermission from Chi-Chi, who warmed up them dinosaur nuggies for her boys to chomp on during their training, while allowing Videl to partake only because she just so happened to be there and it'd be rude not to. As they get into a discussion of the food, Videl makes a comment about them having a personal chef at her house, and all of a sudden, Chi-Chi becomes more locked in than she ever has in her life. Doing some more investigative work, Chi-Chi gets Videl to drop the news that she and her father had 50 rooms in their house, and that was all she needed to hear. From that moment on, she started scheming on poking holes in all Gohan's Trojans later that night, and as Gohan fled out when he's gonna knock this pigtail piggy bank up and tie the knot. Gohan's nutsack shriveled up to his throat, causing him to spit out his food mid-swallow before immediately ending the meal and decided that it might be time to get back to work. In a day, Videl managed to learn the basics of ki control, including how to manifest energy outside of her body as well as float in the air. A major feat, no doubt, that was unfortunately somewhat eclipsed by son Goten's own progress, who was now whirring in the air like a child-sized paper airplane and making flying seem as natural as breathing. Videl tells Gohan that she'll be coming back to his crib tomorrow to learn more about ki control. Gohan does everything he can to fumble the bag, telling her that he has already taught her everything he knows, and from here the most useful thing will just be personal practice. But she wasn't trying to hear all that and told him that she demands a personal lesson. Gohan gives in, but tells her that if she's gonna come back, she gotta do something about that hair. Thinking that Gohan just dropped a jewel about his preferences in women, she's pissed when she learns that it was strictly practical, with a young nerd informing her that long hair gets in your eyes when fighting and also it can be grabbed by enemies, so it'd be best to tighten that up before it becomes an issue. While Gohan was working hard to secure his virginity, we get a brief cutaway to Goku, who is in Dead Man's Wonderland, getting absolutely active with 2 tons of weight as he prepares to box on Earth. King Kai gets a kick out showing Goku off to the other Kais like a prize mule, having him do a martial arts demonstration while effortlessly floating around with 40 tons on his limbs, just to let South Kai know that the jobber he was planning on bringing to the World Tournament might be better off calling in sick, because his trump card is on something different and is the apex predator in this shonen battle arena. And speaking of getting active, our perspective then turns to Vegeta, who's hanging out shirtless in the rain, sweating his Saiyan rocks off with his son under 150 times gravity to prepare for the return of his bromantic interest. Shortly after Vegeta gives Trunks the same "you ain't up on this, young blood" type speech that Gohan gave Goten earlier, the absolute animal turns Super Saiyan and starts running around the gravity chamber like it's a Tom and Jerry sketch, leading to Vegeta's now famous line about the Super Saiyan bargain sale occurring. And this moment leads perfectly into the discussion I wanted to have with y'all from last time when I mentioned those interviews about the Buu Saga with Toriyama. When asked about the humongous difference in tone and pace from moving from the Cell Saga to the Buu Saga, this is what the homie Toriyama had to say. "I'm pretty sure I just kept on drawing without a clue Majin Buu was gonna turn up. I enjoy working on that part, but eventually I figured it was time to come up with a new enemy. By the time we hit Majin Buu, Toriyama was genuinely beginning to get burned out with battle manga. A point further evidenced by a direct quote from him stating that working through all the battles throughout the Buu Arc and Z led him to losing interest in drawing a fighting manga ever since, and through this day. Toriyama's exhaustion with the constant high-octane battles in Z appear to be a major reason the Buu Arc starts off in such a unique way and retains so much of the gag manga energy it has. By this point, Toriyama just wanted to let his pen cool down and breathe a little. And I believe that this is also a major reason why the Buu Saga feels so divisive within the Dragon Ball fan base itself. For those who know Z as the progenitor and face of battle manga, seeing the wacky hijinks, slow pacing, and slapstick humor of the Buu Saga can make it feel out of place in the heritage of Z. But for those who have been with the series for the long haul and are also familiar with Toriyama as a creator in its totality, and not just with his work on Z, the Buu Saga feels a great deal less jarring. Dragon Ball, and especially the original series, has always been a series that placed the feeling of adventure as well as a healthy dose of humor at the forefront. And because of this, the Buu Saga for some people feels like a more of a return to form than a departure from what makes a series great. I always have a good time learning more about behind the scenes stuff when it comes to the artists that make the things I love. Hearing about their backgrounds, motivations, as well as struggles can add a whole new layer of understanding to some of our favorite stories and make you appreciate some of them even more. Returning to Capsule Corp though, after seeing his son's gender reveal as a Super Saiyan, Vegeta makes him a deal. "If you can manage to land a single hit on my face, I'll buy you them Robux you keep annoying me about and take you to an amusement park." Trunks hears this and is like, say less, charging his dad full speed with dangerous accuracy, pressing Vegeta to the point that after Trunks lands a strike that skims his face, Vegeta reflexively haymakers the kid with full-ass grown man power behind it, sending him flying and onto the floor. Vegeta even surprised himself with how hard he decked little bro, but refuses to admit that little dude caught him lacking. Instead, Vegeta tells him to nut up and that he'll still take him to the amusement park as promised, as long as he doesn't tell his mom so she can press charges. Before they clean up though, he's gotta know one thing, and ask Trunks if he's stronger than Goten. Trunks happily admits that even though Goten can turn Super Saiyan 2, Trunks does have him outclassed by a little bit, but Goten is still a little dude and can't even fly. And right here, as Vegeta gets sick to his stomach grappling with the new generation, is where we'll call it. I hope y'all been having as much fun as I have with this intro to the Buu Saga. Character interactions here are absolute gold and something that I wish we got a lot more of throughout the series. Tune in next time as our heroes' training sessions come to an end and the Budokai fast approaches. What surprises lie in wait for the Z crew at their fated reunion on tournament day? Guess we'll have to tune in and find out. Be easy, y'all, and catch you again in the next video.